Yo, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how you can make your DJ stream look really cool with OBS Studio plugins. So me and my buddies have been doing a live stream on Mixcloud Live every Sunday for the last few weeks. So because of this, I decided to take a look at some OBS Studio plugins to see if I can make my DJ stream look really cool. There's actually tons of different plugins available on obsproject.com, and I've sort of gone through them all and chosen the ones which I think are the best for DJing, i.e. you can set them up before you actually start your stream. They're visually appealing and they don't take too much fuss basically. When you're DJing, you don't want to be having to think about something else, so that's why I've gone with these ones. You can set them up beforehand and leave them running. I'll also say this is a follow-up to my previous video which I did on OBS Studio. You can watch that up here. Yeah, that takes you through the basics of OBS Studio, and this is kind of how to use plugins additionally to that, but if you want to see how I've set up my OBS Studio, check out that video first. So bear in mind I'm on Windows. I do believe you can use these on Mac, but it might be more difficult to set them up. So how do you set them up in Windows? First of all, go download all the plugins. I've put links to the ones which I'm talking about in the description. After that, you need to extract the zip file and then go into it and find the data and OBS plugins folder. Next, you need to navigate to the OBS Studio folder on your computer. So for me, that's C drive, program files, OBS Studio. In there you'll see the data and the OBS plugins folders again. So what you need to do is merge those two folders from the zip file that you downloaded and then into Windows. So if I just take them, chuck them in there. I've already installed this plugin, so I'm not going to click yes, but basically you want to make sure that it merges those two files. Then the plugins will essentially be installed. Depending on the plugin, they're going to be installed in different places within OBS. A lot of them go to down here in the sources. They will just basically appear as a new plugin down here. So as you can see, the DVD screensaver one appears here. They sometimes also appear up here in tools. The first plugin I want to talk about is Spectralizer. This allows you to create an audio visualization of an OBS audio source, and it actually reacts in real time. You can get creative, moving things around, rotating the Spectralizer, adding multiple sources to get like cool looks, and I've currently used it in these two scenes. I've got it in this Drop Beats radio one. As you can see, I've got two instances, and also here where I've changed it slightly and made the bars a bit bigger. To add it, you click the plus sign, then you go to Audio Visualizer. So as you can see, I've got the white and the blue ones, which correspond to here, and let's add a white one, say. And as you can see, that comes in and it's small, but we can resize it. If you want to change the preferences, click here and you can do stuff like change the audio source, which is really important. I've currently got it set to desktop audio, but as a DJ, you're probably going to have it set to your audio interface, which is your turntables. Then you can fiddle around with some other settings to change the look of it, like the color and the width and the height of the bars. I would recommend playing with these. I'm not going to go into the details in terms of what the settings are, but like it's fun to play around with things and try new looks. The next one I want to talk about is DVD screensaver, which is basically this one. Once you've installed that, you click here and it will show up as DVD screensaver. So let's remove this one. I'll just show you. So you click here, we'd add that in, and as you can see, you can change a few of the different settings, such as the speed and the size. I think it looks a bit better smaller. You can also click here if you want it to change color or not. I think it looks better that when it bounces off the side it changes color, so I've changed that. But yeah, let's bring the speed down a bit more. I prefer it kind of like that. Then you can put it in place and basically select the size that you want it to be. As you can see, this is going off the side, so if I hold Alt, I can then resize that box so that it doesn't go off the edge. Simple, that's it really. That's DVD screensaver, really simple, but I guess that's what I'm going for here. Like, we want it to be simple so we can just set it up and achieve a certain look. The next plugin I want to talk about is Shader Filter. Shader filters I think of as like effects basically, and you can add them as filters onto sources within OBS to change the look of them. I will demonstrate that one in this scene here. This is made up of 4 different sources, 2 of the logos here, 1, 2. Let's take them out just for for clarity. And then we've also got this bit of media here, which is playing in the background to add a certain look. And then the rest of it is this. And this is made up of filters. So if I click here, you can see what it's made up of here. It's got the Luma key, which is essentially adding like that kind of look. It's got the scroll, which is making it all move. Then the color correction, which is making it look white. And then we've got the shader filter. So on this occasion, I've got the shader filter to set up to repeat the image as it is like that. So you can see there's 16. So if you can add a new shader filter, you right click it, go to the filter section and then add one here. And then you'll have user defined shader. You can add that in there. And this is what you'll see. So you want to load the shader, you click load shader from text file. Then you go to browse and you can see all the different shaders and effects in here. If you check here, that's where all the different effects are stored. It's essentially where you installed the plugin. I don't really know the difference between a shader and an effect, but there is a slight difference in the way they work. So that is to do with this box here. So as it says override entire effect, if you're adding an effect, you need to click that box. So if you're browsing here and say you want to add in, let's find a good one, rotato effect, we have to have that box ticked, and then often you have to click reload effect as well. So now we've added that effect, it's making everything spin. If you can see, if we turn that off, it's not spinning. If you're adding in a shader, you don't need to click that box. So it's quite easy to remember because obviously that says effect, and then these also say dot effect. Sometimes you have to play around with the settings down here again to make things look good or make them work well. It's kind of different for every effect, and you kind of have to play around with adding them in and seeing how they look. There's often some notes at the bottom here which help you dial in those settings. So yeah, there's shader filter. It just basically adds in more filters and allows you to create some more interesting looks within OBS. The next one I want to talk about is move transition. That basically extends the functionality of transitions within OBS. So to add in move, you click on a plus sign here and select move. Then you can create a new transition name. And this is basically all the settings. You can fiddle around with these, and it's essentially just quite a smooth animation tool. Anyone who knows anything about animation knows that easing makes going from A to B look a bit more natural. So if we've got it on no easing, and then no easing, and we preview this transition, it just looks really robotic. It just goes me, me, me. But if we put ease in, ease out for all the different sections, what that will now do is kind of, it adds this kind of cool effect where it sort of pops in and then pops out. You can also change the position of where things appear from and go away. As you can see, we've got disappearing items and appearing items. So say we set this to appear from away from the center. That one often looks cool to me. So yeah, away, and then you can, this is set to go out on the right, but you can put it to go out on the left. So yeah, you can just set up different animations and make things appear and disappear in different ways. What I'd recommend is setting up a few different versions of these which you think look good, and then we can use another plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher to help us choose from these randomly. So that brings us to our last plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher. So that one appears up here in the tools. When you install this one, it's going to install the advanced version, and also it's going to install the automatic one. We're going to be focusing on the advanced one. Don't open them up at the same time because it'll cause issues. So this can look fairly complicated, but it's not really too difficult. The only tabs we're going to be looking at are the general, the scene sequence one, or the random tab. I'm currently using the random tab. I'll just quickly take you through how this is working. You basically set up a condition here so that if no condition is met, you switch to this scene, which these all correspond to down here. You can choose the transition from here, and then you can also choose how often that happens. So I've set it up that it goes to each one. So we've got the 4cam scene, we've got the climax scene, we've got the drop beats radio scene. So I'll just add a new one to show you what I mean. So say we want it to go to the climax scene using the move to transition after 60 seconds. We do that, and then we just put add there, and it comes into this list. As you can see now, we've got one for move 1 and we've got one for move 2, and that means this plugin is going to choose from any of these lists randomly after every 60 seconds and go to that scene. Another thing we can do is do the same thing in scene sequence. So if we want to really make it so it's not random and we want to control the order of it, we can do that here. And that's basically just got an extra condition here at the start, so we can choose the condition that it's coming from and then going to, and in which case you can just basically set them to go in a certain order and it will go through, and when you get to the bottom you can set that to go back to the top and it will just go through them like that. To start the plugin, you go to General and you click Start. I've selected this one because we want it to switch to any scene on the random tab, so click Start, and that means that every 60 seconds it's going to change. I'm not going to sit here and wait for a minute to show you that, but that's basically what's going to happen. That's it really. I have played with a few more other useful plugins, but I didn't want to put them into this one because I felt like these ones were all ones which made sense together, and that's what I used to make these scenes, and yeah, it kind of worked for me. So they're all the different plugins which I used, and all I've done is create different scenes using different combinations of those plugins and certain effects within OBS to make what I think looks cool. I'll guide you through one more scene now just to kind of show you how I've utilized all the different tools. So let's look at my 4x cam one. Let's first of all look at all the different sources. We've got the border cam multiplied 4 times, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if we get rid of those, then they will disappear. Then we have this media source in the back, which is just like a VJ MP4 which I found, and I've added that in as a background. And then we've got this Drop Beats Radio logo which I've put in the middle, and I've made it pulse like that. And the way I did that was, if we right click on it and go to the filter, you can see that I've added the shader filter, and I loaded the shake effect like there, browse, and I've just played around with the settings. I think the main thing which we're seeing here is the warble effect, yeah. And basically I just played around with the different settings until I found something which I thought looked cool. So if I add all these back in, I will add in one more tip at the end here which might help save you some time. If you see here, I've got this Luma repeat and I've got this border cam, which are basically, they are nested sources. So why have I done that? If you play with OBS for any amount of time, you may have run into an annoying issue where you add in, say, a webcam, add a filter to it, and then that will affect all the different scenes that source is used in. So you want it cropped in the corner just for one scene, but then it crops it in all the other scenes. It can be really annoying. So the workaround for that is to create a nested source. So you create a new scene, then you add in your webcam. So we'll go to video capture device, webcam. So why might we do that? Well, now we can actually bring that into another scene as a nested scene and affect it, and it won't affect the original source. So let's create another new scene, and we'll bring in the scene 2 which we just created. So we go to scene, choose scene 2, and now if we affect this by, let's say we'll put a filter on it, put on scroll, say, and we'll just get that moving. Now we can go add in another webcam, and it's not scrolling. Now that might not sound like a lot, but that is actually a huge lifesaver, and it's going to save you a lot of time. Just try to remember to make the scene nest before you start adding filters to it, because I still forget quite often. I'll like add all these filters to it, go back to add the original source, and I'll see that that's all changed, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to undo it all. So yeah, you either know what I'm talking about or you don't. If you play with OBS any amount of time, then you'll have run into this problem, trust me. That's just one extra tip for you. Hopefully it'll help someone out. I know it helps me, but that's it for the video. If you liked it, please click that like button. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. I'm going to be making more content over DJing and video editing and kind of everything in between, really. Never really know what to say at this point, so I'll just be like, bye.